from wherever you're watching us. Yes, it's another exciting week with an exciting show talking about my favorite thing. That's wealth creation, making money. As we know that, the world got hit so hard during COVID, and many people have struggled to transition. Many people have struggled to move from one job to another new career. Well, if you're watching today, you are actually blessed because I am here with a property expert who today will tell us how to transition maybe from one career to getting into the property business. And he is the one and only Ibrahim Braimah. And he is the CEO of IBW Academy, right? Am I right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Ibrahim, I want to give you a drum roll first of all, because I don't like a boring show. So let me give you a drum roll. Nobody's cheering up here, so I'm like. Do you know why I'm doing that? Because I look at you and I see that you're a young man in a city where everybody's chasing paper. There's the rat race where people don't. Some people are in this city, but they don't know where their next meal is coming from. But I see you have done my research. I saw you on the internet, how you're out there teaching people how to create wealth through property. It's not an easy thing. So today I'm honored to have you on the show. So talk to us about this property business, because we all want to make this money that you're making.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for the invite and thanks for the kind words. And yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, I came to the city because of this. I came to the city. I was chasing that hustle and bustle. They said,
right,
London's where the money is at. I said, let's go find out. All right, let's actually go to the city. So
where did you come from?
So I went to university in Southampton, and I was there for 8+ years. Yeah. That's where I met my wife and the rest of it. I started my first business over there. After 4 months, it failed.
When you were at uni?
No, not one. I dropped out of uni after the first year.
You dropped out?
I dropped out.
Do your parents know?
Jesus, that's a different conversation.
Oh my gosh, now they know.
No, they do know. They do know. That was a different conversation for the time. That was very stressful. But I learned a lot during that period because, my parents did know. I made this massive public announcement to everyone. I'm an entrepreneur now. I'm starting my own business. Everyone's happy. I said to my wife,
how brave.
Go to drama school. Don't worry about it. I got you covered and the rest of it. And just 4 months. Really embarrassing. Depression is not really something that I ever, being an African man, I thought, you just sort it out.
What's your background?
Nigerian.
You're West African?
Nigerian, yes.
Okay, because I was going to say maybe Sierra Leone. I don't know. You're funny. Nigerian, but you're not. Okay, I don't want to offend anyone.
Don't insult. Don't start insulting. We just started. Yeah.
Why I insult you?
You can't be telling the Nigerian man.
No. Nigeria is my second home now, Abby. But honestly, I felt like you were Sierra Leonean, not even Ghanaian, but because you're Nigerian, but you're kind of okay, Nigerians don't beat me. I'm just saying he's kind of soft and approachable. Like, I'm not saying Nigerians are not approachable.
I'm going to give you something now that might blow your mind. And you think, I wasn't expecting that. A lot of Sierra Leoneans that I've met, I've thought I was Sierra Leonean. But not just because of demeanor, because my name, Braimah, which I didn't actually know. But apparently, that's a Sierra Leonean name. Braimah.
Is it? I didn't know. But
I know you didn't know that, right?
That's what I just thought. I don't know. You give me Sierra Leonean vibes, like,
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Both my parents are Nigerians. I was born in Nigeria.
And they know that they're both Nigerians. Maybe you have roots.
But it's crazy that you say that. You clearly understand, the different dynamics. And it's crazy that Sierra Leoneans say my name is a Sierra Leonean name. And obviously, it's all West Africa. It's all, the mixings, all that sort of stuff that happens. So it's not the craziest idea that at some point down the line, some Sierra Leoneans move to Nigeria and then et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
You've got the sense. You can feel it. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's carry on.
Yeah. So I fell into this bout of depression at the time. It wasn't a long period. It was like a good couple of weeks where I was waking up having panic attacks and the rest of it every single night. I just felt like I'd let so many people down. It was also embarrassing because you kind of tell everyone we're doing this now. We've arrived.
How old were you then?
So this is 2017. I can't remember how old I was. 2017. So that's what 8 years ago. So yeah, I just turned 30. I just turned 30.
Yeah, still recent. Yeah.
I just turned 30. Yeah. So and it's a big landmark, right? Like 30. This is that age. I don't know why, but everyone that 30 is like it's an age where you think I should have been doing something now. So like all of that just kind of bubbled up. So for a couple of weeks that kind of happened, and I managed to pick myself out of that. And then the goal was, let's go to London.
Yeah.
I just want to make as much money as possible now because I didn't want to put my family in this position. And I said to my wife, go to drama school. Like, I've got you covered. Just focus on your studies.
Yeah.
And now she's in a position where, like, what do I actually do now, right? So it was really embarrassing. It was really tough. So for me, money was just the goal. How can we make as much money as humanly possible to never put my family in that position again? And that's how we came to London.
What was this business that you started, that you just decided to drop uni and start the business? What was it?
No, so there's a timeline between uni, dropping out of uni. So actually, when I dropped out of uni, I went to become an estate agent.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a timeline there.
Yeah.
But while in the estate agency, you see people like the mortgage brokers and thinking these people are not smart.
Yeah, you're smart. Yeah, like
I can do this better than you guys, right?
Yeah.
And
okay, the Nigerian package is coming out now.
so that was the impression that I had in my mind. And obviously now I know a lot more about confidence is one thing,
right?
But having the skill set. Right, having the understanding, the knowledge is something completely different. You can have confidence, but it needs to be educated confidence, right? And that's the lesson that I took away from that. So it was a brokerage that we opened, like an insurance brokerage. So if you know about the insurance industry, you can either be directly authorized, which means you are authorized by the FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, or you're something known as an appointed representative. Right. So that means you are working under the license of someone who is directly authorized. So we were an appointed representative, so which meant we were able to sell all of the same products. It was life insurance. So that was the brokerage we opened. And we just didn't know enough. We went with a provider, that wasn't quite, fully legit, and the rest of it. And as their license got pulled, we got pulled, and it was a blow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then that's when you go into depression.
Yeah.
And then, boom, you just woke up one day and decided, right, this is it. You can't do it anymore. You can't be depressed anymore. You need to go and make money.
Yes and no. Yes and no. So it wasn't a case. Because it was. I always say to everyone, motion creates emotion, and I got that from for those of you who don't know who Tony Robbins is one of the greatest personal development coaches in the world. And I used to be homeless, kind of taking this even way back. I used to be homeless. I was homeless on the streets for about 3 years, right? And during that,
before uni.
This is before uni. Wow. It was actually coming out of that homelessness, 2 years, when after someone helped me, got me back into college studies, and then 2 years later I went to uni, right? So during that period, obviously, I learned a lot about personal development. So I had the skills and the ability. I knew what to actually do. And Tony Robbins always said, motion creates emotion, right? Whenever you're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, just start moving, right? And just moving, how you position your body. Those little things actually changes the way you think and the way you feel. Like, it's crazy. So for me, it was just get out of bed, get out of bed, get out of bed, get out of bed. And then, finally done that, started going for walks, and then the walks would turn into, let me just jog a little bit, and then you start running, and then, exercise just makes you start to feel better, right? And so that's pretty much what happened. And so I said to myself, look, what's the next step? Like, what's the next goal? Like, we've really got to get cracking on. Right. And the next goal for me was forget entrepreneurship. Yeah, forget entrepreneurship. Right. Let's just go and make guaranteed money. Like, the goal now was just money. Guaranteed.
Right.
London's where it's at. That's where they said the big boys are playing. Let's go and swim in the big fish. Let's go and swim in the big sea.
In the big sea.
Yeah. And that's what brought me to London. So I don't mind that element of London because, you're playing in this little city like Southampton. You're playing there, and you feel good, and that's probably what deluded me into this false sense of security, because I'm like, idiots, I can do that, right?
Yeah.
But when you come to London, you're you're seeing the hustle, you're seeing other players, you're like, yo, like this is...
You're seeing the lifestyle. You're seeing the big boys and you want to join that.
It's not even so much about the lifestyle for me. That
yeah.
stuff doesn't really impress me. To be honest, like I said, I've come from nothing in Nigeria. I was also homeless in the streets here. We've tried now, we've tried.
Like this. You're saying that thing does not... I'm sure you are hiding your Rolex somewhere.
This is the things that I like. I like this. Don't get me wrong, I like this. But you won't see me in these expensive cars and all this crazy stuff. And I don't care about that sort of stuff, right? But what I meant was just seeing people and giving them like the credit, like, yo, these people are sharp. I'm not talking about sharp looking. I'm saying, yo, competition is strong.
So you bought a one-way ticket into London and you've never gone back to Southampton?
I mean, I was just there a couple of days ago, so I had to drop my wife off. But yeah, not to work and anything. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And so when you came into London to start, because somebody might be watching right now who is probably fed up of, what they're doing, their career at the moment. They're tired of being depressed as well.
Yeah.
They're tired of not having money. They're tired of living hand to mouth.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share with us at what point did you now get into the property business, and then at what point did you make it? Because in order to be an expert, in order to be a guru, which is, you don't want me to call you a guru, but I call you a property guru. No.
I don't want to be a guru. Yeah, I don't want to be a guru. Because the whole guru thing is, it's almost like this. First of all, it means you're not learning anymore. A guru is someone who knows it all.
You've
like
arrived.
the all-knowing of arrived, all that, and that's crazy to me. But also, there's just this real negative connotation with gurus, and I get it. A guru just basically tells you, tomorrow, 10K per month, no problem, right? And, to me, there's a lot of that. I'll call those guys gurus. Over-promising, they tell anything, and it's really difficult because the information gets mixed. Because I would be saying something similar to the guru. Because, success lives close. Right? And what you need to do to succeed is the same thing. So don't be saying the same thing, but the path in which they're telling you to take to get there, that's the difference. And that's what people really have to be careful about. Say if something's too good to be true, then it usually is. So that's what people need to be careful about. But you know what, Pauline? When you're struggling, and you're in those dark moments, when do you want things to change? Now or in 6 months' time?
Well, no. If I'm in those dark moments, I'm in a hurry to change it.
Today.
Now, that minute, right now.
So me telling you 6 months, and Mr. Guru saying, now, instant.
And that's what they always say.
And
how to instantly make £20,000 in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
once you pay.
There's some money
10K goes into your bank account tomorrow.
Money well somewhere.
Exactly.
So then you moved to London.
Yeah.
And made your way into becoming.
I want to give some context around that before I get to the property side. I want to give some context around that because I believe in the power of decisions, and this is one of the things that I really want to speak to your audience about.
Right.
Again, I like to give homage to the people that I learn things from. If it's something that I come up with myself, I'll tell you. If I learn it from someone, I'll say, this is what I learned from someone. Tony Robbins again, right? And it speaks about the power of decisions. A decision is not, I want to do this. A decision is, this is what we're doing, and there are no other options.
Right.
Yeah, like you've burnt the boats. This is the choice. And when I came to London, I knew that I wanted to go and work at the top. I wanted to go and work, in the city. So for me, I didn't get any other jobs. I was very good as an estate agent. I could have come to London and go an estate agency job, 30, 35K, whatever. I could have done that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to the city, right? So what was I doing when I came to London? I was working in warehouses. I was doing security. I was a security man. Security, the whole walkie-talkie, that was me, right? And I was going to stay there forever.
The security man.
The security job.
Right.
Or I made it to the city. There is no other option because once you start settling, once you start getting that estate agency job and, there's 30, 35, is it too bad? Is it... 10 years later, that's where you find yourself. But when you make a decision like, these are the only options, I'm either going to be here or I'm going there, the world will bend to your will. It will eventually bend to your will as long as you're taking the right actions to make it happen. It's
like if you put one leg forward, the other leg has to follow.
There's no option.
Has to follow, can't get stuck.
There's no option.
Yeah.
But you have to be trying to move it. Exactly. So it's not this pray, and one day, no. The leg ain't moving unless you move the leg.
But I'm sure the prayer came into it. Faith.
Oh, faith.
Yeah.
Faith is Important. The problem, this is where you have to start distincting between gurus and experts.
Yeah.
The problem is the guru said, just pray.
Okay.
It's not going to work.
But you can't remove prayer from it.
You can pray and you will stay there. You can't. You can't, right? Because faith is massively important, right? Belief is massively important. Right? The world hasn't just, it's not in isolation, right? This whole thing that we're here, it's not just in isolation. You can't remove that. But even the Bible doesn't tell you to just pray and then sit there and it should be done, right?
Yeah.
You've got to put the effort in. You've got to do the work. You've got to take actions to ultimately achieve what you want. But
prayer,
first you have to ask.
Adds on to the mix.
First you have to ask.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, you can't receive. Ask and you shall receive, right?
Right.
So if you don't ask, asking is the first step. Knowing what you want is the first step. Having a goal is the first step. Once you have that, then now you need to take action to actually go and make it happen.
Right.
Right? So that's the difference. So yeah, put one leg forward, but then you actually have to physically move the other leg before you can go. And it might not be easy to move, but you have to be moving ultimately to actually get there. So that's the one thing I want people to understand. But I got the job. I was in the city working for an investment firm. Come COVID, so it was interesting indeed because we haven't spoken about this stuff as well, which is really interesting. Oh, wow. You mentioned about COVID, right? And the difficulties people are going through. COVID is when I started this business.
Are you serious?
COVID is when I started this business.
I thought you've just been doing it for years.
I've been in property for a long time. I said estate agency and then the property investment firm in the city. That was still property as well. So I've been in property for 12 years. Yeah. But my business,
your own
my
business.
own business started in COVID, right?
Because as a result of my mom having COVID, going into intensive care, 50-50 she's going to be alive. The only thing keeping her alive right now is a ventilator. She's in a coma. So, you know, me being African, first child, son, my siblings are all girls, it's a lot of pressure on my shoulders. Right? I can literally feel the weight on my shoulders, right? So I need to take time off to really process all of this. And, you get all these calls coming in for everyone's trying to figure out what's happening and the rest of it. Yeah. And my company made me feel this small. They made me feel almost as if my request was inconsiderate, all right? Because my clients need me, yeah? And I just realized at that moment, like, listen, I'm just a number to these people. I'm just a cog in this machine. And when you leave, they'll replace you. Like, this is what I say to people. They won't even waste 1 second. But here's the thing. As much as we laugh at that, that's their prerogative. It's true. Problem is, we buy into their system. People say the system is broken. I go, it's not broken. It just wasn't designed for you and I. It's designed to work for the system. But once we understand that, we can also work for them. So we too need to kind of create something that works for us.
What works for us? What works for me? Exactly. Don't knock someone. It's like
because it works for them, you can't knock them. Make something that works for you.
This is it. As long as we don't buy into their vision, then that's perfectly fine. I'm not knocking them. It's fine. Yeah. I just realized, hey, do you know what? I'm just a spoke in this will. If I drop dead tomorrow, I'll get removed, a new spot goes in, and the wheel just keeps on turning. I needed to do something different for myself, right? I quit. I started attending all these webinars, all these web classes, trying to find out what was my next step going to be. That's when I came across all these gurus. So I had to swim. Yeah. I had to swim in the bloody water before I could find a blue ocean.
And then you look back at all of the gurus that you came across. Yeah. And sometimes you just sit back and laugh, or would you?
Because they're still alive. It's not like they're dead. It's not like they're dead. I'll be honest. Yeah. It's not like they're dead. They're still alive. So, but it is just what it is. I finally came to someone who was talking about property, right, and how you can make money from property without using any of your own money, which at the time sounded crazy to me. I'm like, you're talking
without
nonsense.
Using your money at all. Yeah,
this is madness. Yeah. This doesn't make sense. But the more I listen, the more it starts, because I come from a property background. Yeah, I've worked with landlords. And
you didn't know that.
I've helped people build portfolios. Like I've helped people invest millions of pounds of their own money, right? So for me, I'm like, how are you going to come and speak to one of my clients and tell this doesn't make sense? But when he started explaining it in totality, I got it, right? Anything business is all about value exchange, right? That's right. And once you understand what that value exchange is, then you're able to actually, you're able to propose something that's going to make sense for the other party. The problem I had was money, in terms of my strategy. Right. Yeah. The problem I had was money. I didn't have the money to really implement, even though they said you don't have to use your own property. Yeah. The strategy that I'm doing is something called Airbnb. Right. Right. So with Airbnb, obviously, you can make quite... Have you stayed on Airbnb before?
Have I been in
Have
one?
you stayed in an Airbnb?
No.
So you
But
normally use hotels?
I know. Yeah, I know.
You're too posh for us, man. You use, all this 5-star. Yeah.
But I know people that use Airbnbs, and I know about the Airbnb business. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So with Airbnb, you can, when you compare it to a long-term rental, so let's say someone is renting a property 12-month AST, 24 months, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say it's £1,000. In the right locations, because not everywhere works, in the right locations, you can normally generate 2 to 3 times the revenue when it's on Airbnb, because you're charging per night. You're charging the guest per night. Exactly.
Right, okay.
Right?
So even if they live there like for a month or 2 months, you're still charging them per night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still charging per night, because guess what? They can't go and get a tenancy for 12 months, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For 1 month,
short term. Yeah.
Exactly. So if they want to stay for short term, they pay the short term. It's like when you go to a hotel, you want to stay there for a month, you can't start telling the hotel that you only want to pay like normal rent, right? It's just how it is. We are a hospitality business.
Yeah.
But the issue is, obviously, you need properties to do this, because you need apartments for these guests to come and stay.
That's right.
So that means you need to approach landlords. Now, if you're going to go to a landlord, you want to use their property, well, you need to rent it from them.
And then you convert it into...
And then you can use it as an Airbnb. Obviously, contractually, there needs to be a contract in place that allows you legally to sublet, because subletting is illegal if you don't have permission.
Permission from the landlord.
From the landlord, right? People just stop at it's illegal, full stop, it's not. If you have permission from the landlord, it's fine. So you need to make sure you sign the right contract.
Okay, that's something I didn't know either. So you have to get permission. It's not illegal, actually. But if you have permission, it's not illegal.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's like going to a shop and taking a drink out of the fridge.
Yeah.
If you walk out, is that illegal?
I mean, you haven't paid for it.
But it's illegal.
You haven't paid for it, though.
Yeah, so it's illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But what if the shop owner said, yeah, it's fine, go and get the drink?
Okay.
Right? Same action, but just that little difference there.
Yeah,
so this
the shop
is the
owner
thing.
said yes, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
so once we sign that contract, that means it's fine, we can now do that.
Yeah.
But the issue is, to get that property from the landlord, you need to, guess what, you need to pay rent, you need to pay deposit, right? And you need to furnish the property up to Airbnb standards.
It's like you need to rent it like you're going to live in it.
You're taking possession from it. Yeah, because the landlord's not going to give it to you for free, right?
Exactly.
Because they need to make money. Okay, so you're going to rent it as if you're taking the property as a rent. And the benefit for the landlord in this model is you're going to rent it for like 3 years or 5 years, which means now they don't get what's called a void period. A void period is, let's say you're moving out, now I need to go in, I need to paint it, I have to do that. Maybe it's a month and a half to get the property ready before I find a new tenant. I've lost rent in that period. So you convince the landlord saying, hey, you're not going to get any of those void periods over the next 3 to 5 years, right? And we're going to look after the property, all of that. So that's the incentive for the landlord. But for you to secure that property, you still need to pay the first month's rent, you still need to pay deposit, and you need to furnish your property up to the standards of the rest of the competition on Airbnb to make people actually want to stay with you. So depending where you are in the country, we're talking anywhere from £4,000 to £8,000 to secure each property.
For how long? Wow. That's the minimum.
That's the minimum, depending where you are. Let's break the numbers down.
Yeah.
So let's say if you're somewhere in, let me just use Liverpool, for example. Let's say a 2-bed, you're going to rent for £1,000 per month, right? So that's £1,000. So up front, you have to pay the first month's rent. You have to pay the deposit. That's 2K. And let me be generous and say you're going to furnish it for 2K. Guess what? We're £4,000.
Right, yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you're in London, a 2-bed, let's be generous and say it's 2K.
Oh, gosh.
Let's be generous and say it's 2K. Yeah. So £2,000 first month's rent, £2,000 deposit, and if we're generous and say 2K furnishing as well, that's 6K. So that's why I say anywhere from 4 to 8K, depending where you are. London is more closer to the 7 or 8, to be honest with you. So I didn't have that sort of money, right, to be taken on each property costing me £8,000.
Right.
But obviously, because I was an estate agent, I was able to figure out, well, I didn't have to do that when I was an estate agent. We didn't have to rent property from landlords. We just said, hey, you've got property, we've got the expertise, you bring the property, we will handle the operations, and then you just pay us a fee from the revenue we generate.
Right.
Right? So that's what I was able to go into the marketplace with, and then, really the company blew up. Right? So that was a success because what I was able to do was bring the landlords in on the profit.
Right, okay.
These guys were saying, hey, give me your property. Yes, just I'm going to be void periods, all this flat, oh yeah, that's fine. But I'm going to go make all this money on top of your property.
And that's none of your business. How
That's
much I'm
none of your
making.
business. It's not you collecting your rent every month. That's none of your business. No void periods. We're gonna look after it. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
I'm coming saying, hey, Mr. Landlord, you're making £1,000. We could actually generate £3,000 after you've paid me my fees and the council tax, all that stuff. You're still walking away with 1,700, 1,800, 2,000. They're happy. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
So this is why we're able to sort of scale, because we created a real win-win situation, right?
So it's a partnership with the landlords.
It's almost as if you have done your research. I call this the landlord partnership blueprint.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
That's exactly what I call it, right? Landlord partnership blueprint, because we're partnering with the landlord.
Yes.
And it's a true win-win situation, because now I don't have to spend 4 to 8K on this property I take on, and the landlord gets to make more money from the property. So coming to the topic of this program, right, which is, can you make money for real estate without putting money down?
Yeah. Do you have to be rich? Because anytime somebody tells you that they're a real estate expert or a guru, I'll not escape that word. We always think, oh my God, this person must be,
started
making
money,
rich. There's a lot of money in it, and that, So, for you to sit here and say, no, you can actually start with nothing, it's incredible.
This is why I always like to give my information like this.
Yeah.
Because people do like to try and gatekeep. People do like to try and make it sometimes feel like it's really, really difficult, because that's how you can then charge big prices, right? Yeah. That's just the truth, right? It's really difficult. You really did all of this kind of stuff. That's just the truth. And for me, anyone that follows my content, I'm just always really, really raw. I like to tell people, first of all, I share. Yeah. I tell people about my journey.
Is it because you've made money now you don't really care?
That's interesting. But that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put myself above anyone else, because there is an element of that, right? But I don't think it's that for me. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. But for me, I come from nothing. Again, I've literally been homeless. Like, it's crazy for me, because I remember the way people used to look at me back then. And talking about this Nigerian thing, even though you don't see it in me, but we'll skip past that. Don't worry about it. Yeah?
For another day.
But there is something about just innately knowing, how dare you look at me like that? Yeah. Even though I'm on the streets like this, I can look at you like this, bro, because you look like a mess right now. In my mind, I was disgusted. I'm like, do you know who? Because I always saw where I was actually going, right? And I know what's possible. And I go on stages up and down the country preaching this stuff about, it doesn't matter where you're starting from, as long as you got the right strategy, you got the right mindset, you believe in yourself, and you're willing to do the work.
You're willing.
Willing to do the work.
Willing.
Anything can happen. You can achieve the goals that you really, really want. So for me, that's a big reason as to why I do it. But coming to the selfish element of it, when I started my business, obviously I went for a mentorship. But the results that I was getting, because I was sharing a lot of it on social media, people in this mentorship were not getting the results. And they were reaching out to me going, how are you doing this? What is going on? And I'll be honest.
You just give
I kept my mouth shut. No. I'm being honest. I'm being honest right now.
Yeah.
I kept my mouth shut because for me, guess what? I just left a well-paid job. There's no money coming in. My savings is going down every single month, right? My wife is pregnant. My back is against the wall. My goal is just, I found this thing.
Yes.
It's working. Just keep your mouth shut. Focus on what you're doing and protect your family, right? And then once you've done that, then you can start worrying about, I'm just being honest. So I don't like myself for that, if I'm honest. Now I feel a little bit like guilty
you
and
had
bad
to be
for doing
selfish to get to where you are. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if I had to. That's how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
That's how I felt at the time. But now, now I share the information. I share the information so people can actually go out there and do it for themselves as well.
So if somebody's doing, let's say they're doing care work.
Yeah.
Care work is not easy.
Yeah.
And they're fed up.
Yeah.
You mean they can just wake up the next day and say, Ibrahim, can you help me to get into property business? And they don't need any expertise. They don't need any certificates. They don't need any. How does it go? Do you need any licenses? Do you need?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
First of all, I work with a lot of people in that sector. A lot of my ads, I do ads on Facebook, Instagram. So just type in my name. Once you type in and follow me, the pixels have got you. Yeah. Algorithm will start following you. So I do a lot, and I actually target a lot of people within that sector because again, I remember during COVID, I remember my mom. I remember these were the people that were helping my mom.
They get
right?
burnt out.
It's ridiculous. I was one of the people who was pissed off during COVID when the government was telling us to go and kneel outside our house and clap. For who? This is insulting. Clap for who? They can't see us, right? These are the people who have been asking for wages increase for how many years before that? And now you want us the way we should go and clap outside my door for this ego. So I feel good. I said, this is nonsense. I'm not doing this ridiculousness, right? And guess what happened? A year and a half later, these same people were being told if they don't take the jabs, that they're going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I have this affinity with the industry. So I actually specifically target care workers, nurses, because I know a lot of them are burnt out.
Yeah, to let them know that there's another way.
There is another way. There is another way. Wow. So talking about licenses and the rest of it, this is the beauty of this space. You don't need licenses. It's not, I'm going to give your audience some games so they actually understand exactly what. So if you're starting today, and you say, okay, cool, what do I actually need to get started in this property business to make me legally compliant? It's very simple. Number one, you need to register a business. Okay, company's house, that costs you about £50. Yeah. You need to register with the ICO, so that's the Information Commissioner's Officer. So that's to do with data protection. So that's an EU law. You guys have probably heard about GDPR. So that means because of the type of business we do, we're inviting guests into our property. We're going to be having access to the data. We need to be able to process that data in a certain way. We're not sharing that information without their permission. Right. So the ICO, that's £40 a year, or if you do direct debit, then it costs £35 a year, and that just means every year they will just renew it automatically without asking your permission again. So save yourself the £5 and just do it. And then you need insurances. That's for any business that you're registering in the UK. You need professional indemnity, public liability insurances. That costs you anywhere about £200, £250, depending what brokerage you're going with. And then you need to be registered with an ombudsman. When it comes to property. So there's two of them. There's either the Property Ombudsman, short for TPO, so the Property Ombudsman, and then the other one is PRS, right? So that's the Property Redress Scheme, PRS, Property Redress Scheme. So it's one of the two. You don't need to register for both of them, just one of the two, okay? And again, they run about £250, £600, £250 to £300. So combined, you're looking at about £600 registration fee for you to become fully compliant property agent in the UK.
And then just like that, you can just start your business.
With my strategy, that's it. All you need...
£600.
That is it. Well, look, obviously, if you want... Again, I'm going to be very, very clear and honest. If you want that information, if you want someone like me to actually hold your hand through that process, there's obviously an investment to actually make for the mentorship, right?
That's it.
You know, but once you've done that, and listen, I'm not going to disclose it here, but...
They need to pay for that.
But I'm saying like the investment for me, again, because of the people who I'm trying to serve, I understand the circumstances.
Yes.
We're not talking crazy money at all, right? No. But once you've done that, now you've got someone like me holding your hand throughout that whole process. There is zero money you need to invest.
To be honest with you, there's no need spending £600. It doesn't sound like a lot when you don't know what to do next.
What's your next step?
Yeah. So that's where they come. They need somebody like you, an expert, to mentor. Yeah. And I don't know whether people know that mentors are actually treasure. Mentors are actually better than that gold you're trying to dig. They are treasure.
I'm personally, maybe I'm biased, I'm a massive believer in mentorship.
Yes. Like No. Mentors are like, there's something that you want to do and somebody is an expert in it, or somebody has been doing it for 10, 20 years, and you want to put your foot in the door. And imagine you put your foot in the door and you meet somebody in that room that wants to show you A, B, C, D, and up to Z. I come from, that generation where we didn't have many mentors, I think that this day and age, at this time, young people are quite lucky, even older people are quite lucky that the mentorship is readily available. It's just that to convince our people, especially our people, I'm going to say our people, that mentoring is investing in yourself tomorrow. Mentoring is about, if your bank account was like that, after mentorship, your bank account's going to be like that.
Now you sound like a guru.
No. No. Yeah. No. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you want your bank account to get fast.
I just like to say things like potential to be like that, right?
Yeah,
potential to be like that. Yeah.
With mentorship, that's why you're a mentor. There's no way it can go wrong.
Yeah.
No way. I always feel like mentors are not wrong. coaching, I don't know. There's a difference between coaching and mentor.
100%. And that's a great distinction.
This is what I'm saying. Coaching might not, I don't know, might not breed something. Yeah. But for me, mentoring, I know that mentoring, because a mentor is that person that wants to sit down and take credit and say, you know that person there that's now making millions? It was me. I mentored. That's how mentors go.
Pride.
Do you know what I mean?
Pride.
Yeah. No, you want to take pride. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas with coaching, you just, coach somebody and let them go goodbye. It doesn't matter whether they make it or not.
I agree with you. I
don't know if I'm making sense.
You make a lot of sense. And I always like to make this distinction. It's a very, very good distinction.
Yeah.
So, for example, my training, I've got like a 6-step unique process that I teach and take my students through. You can't buy that by itself.
No.
And if I'm saying to myself, it's very, very good. I would argue it's one of the best out there, because not a lot of people are teaching what I'm teaching and the system that I teach, because everyone else is doing this rent-to-rent stuff, and what I teach is very, very unique.
Yes.
It's very, very good. But I wouldn't sell that by itself. Because
it comes as a package.
Yes, because I know if I gave you that and said, go and that's it, now you have the information, go make it happen, I know in my heart that the likelihood of success is very low.
You still need somebody to hold your hand.
That's what I believe. Because guess what? You're going to go out there, you're going to meet a landlord, and they're going to say something to you that's not in the training, because there's nuances.
Yes.
There's individual situations. Now, what do you do?
So
now you're stuck.
This is it. That's where you as the mentor, you're constantly getting updated with what's in the market, the property market. Then you bring it to your mentees.
Absolutely. But it's bigger than that from their perspective.
Yeah.
From their perspective, it's bigger than that, because they have a specific situation that they need to overcome. Now, a landlord says something to them, they don't know how to overcome it, because that's not in the course that they've read. Yeah. Now, who did they go to? But if you come to me with that, I've already seen that situation 101 times. Oh, yeah, say this to them. This is actually what they mean. Or ask them this question, instead of you thinking this is what they're saying, ask them this question, draw it out of them, and then if this is what they say, now this is how you respond. That bit of information there could win or lose you the deal.
Right.
That's the power of mentorship. Right. So that for me, there's a big difference between coaching and mentorship.
Yeah. So at IBM, IBW Academy, so you specialize in taking anybody that's raw, as in you've never been into that property business, you don't even know any terminologies.
Yes.
Is that so? People shouldn't be scared of coming if you don't know anything. Absolutely anything.
This is a beginner-friendly strategy. If anyone has listened to property information before, you hear people talk about no money down, and I hope you guys have listened to what I'm saying and understand exactly how and why this is no money down. Normally, when people talk about no money down in property, what it means is your own money. But now they're going to tell you, but you need to borrow money from Peter, you need to borrow money from an investor, you need to find all of this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that's wrong or that's bad, because guess what? That is a way to do it. But the point I'm making is, it's almost disingenuous saying no money down strategy when you know they're going to need money and they need to go on. So now this is the different skill set you need to learn of how to approach investors and how to position your services in order to get money from them to invest. That's a different skill set. With this, there is none of that. You don't need to invest any money into actually securing these deals. You just need to know the strategy. You need to know where to find landlords, what to say to them, how to say it to them. You need to know how to actually analyze the deal to make sure that it's actually going to be profitable, right? Once you know these things, you can actually start this business. You can go out there, start approaching landlords, and start getting properties. That's it. Once they say yes, that's it. There's no money coming out your pocket. So that's the big difference. So anyone can do this. Once you learn the skill, which will show you exactly, what you need to do, what to say, how to say, all of that sort of stuff. And then it's just about you being willing to put in the effort to go and make it happen.
And how long does this course take?
Again, it's not a course. It's a process. I really like to make the distinction. I'll give you the number, but I like to make a distinction between a course and mentorship, because there's a huge difference. A course, at the end of the day, you can watch it in the space of 2-3 days. If it's just pre-recorded, you can just go and watch it, digest it. It means nothing. It means zero, right? The mentorship, it's up to the student, right? So they can have it for 6 months, they can have it for 12 months, the mentorship. If you're talking about how quickly to actually get results.
Exactly. Like after 3 months, after 6 months, after 1 year.
So great question. We actually have a guarantee. that our students will have 3 properties in the next 90 days, guaranteed, or we'll just give you a full refund.
So wait,
I don't want your money if I can't get you the results.
So you have landlords you already work with that you can push to the students?
This is what I'm going to be honest. No, because guess what? Unlike all these gurus, I have a business. So I'm not going to push this to my students. If I have the landlord, me too, I'll take. Because me too, I have a business. I'll take. It's for me, right? But I'm teaching you how to go and do that for yourself, how to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do share deals. So, for example, I've given...
Okay, that's what I was asking. You share deals, right?
But I don't want to put that as this...
As part of the package.
Because it's almost a lie, right?
Yeah,
because I can't guarantee that you're going to get a deal.
That's sort of a promising.
Exactly, right? But, you know, if there's a property in Liverpool, I'm London-based only.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say, you know, we'll give that to one of my students because I'm not in that area, right?
Right, okay.
But I can't guarantee that.
Yeah,
But I can guarantee we're going to show you how you will secure 3 properties in the next 90 days, right? So we'll do that.
And you hold their hands until they're secure.
Exactly.
In those 90 days.
Exactly.
And if they don't, there's no door if they will.
No, because it comes down to effort.
Yes.
Like that, you know, just being honest again. What I'm really proud of, because we have a guarantee in place, what I'm really proud of is there has been students who haven't secured 3 properties in 90 days, but Ibrahim, look, we know we haven't did all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but do you know what I'm saying? But we just want to, you know, we want to stretch out, you know, how long we've actually got to do this, because, you know, once we actually start, because of this, because of this, because of that, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm really proud of that, because they could easily come to me and say, hey, let's get a refund. But I think when you're good to people don't feel good trying to like do you over, right? So that's the thing. So I can't say like everyone has actually got a 90, but no one has turned around and said, you haven't done your part, I want my money back, right? No one has done that, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah. So do you think that the property business is that hidden money that still a lot of people haven't tapped into?
Hidden money?
Yeah. That a lot of people have. When I say hidden, yes, okay, it's there, but it could be, a lot more people could be in it. Is that...
100%. So people talk about saturation, right? Yeah. And I was actually speaking at an event a couple of weeks ago, and someone said to me, is this industry saturated? I said, if you speak to some people, they'll say yes. You speak to other people, they'll say no. Yeah. Right? It all comes down to you. So I'll give you guys some let's use some statistics, because that's what it is. Because I have a saying that says, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Right?
Women don't lie.
Okay, no.
Don't lie.
Only men lie.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, 2022.
Yeah.
Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, the mini budget, crashed the economy.
Right. Yes.
Right? The world said, no, you lot crazy. You remember that? Okay, cool. Interest rates skyrocketed. Mortgage rates skyrocketed.
Absolutely. At its highest, I think, in history.
Not its highest in history.
But I mean, within that time frame.
For the previous like, you know, 15 years odd.
Yeah.
Right? It was crazy. And yeah, it went up really, really quickly. So that's what you mean. Yeah, it was crazy.
Like,
we went from 0 to like 5%. Like, this is insane. Right? So it's just for people to actually understand. That is like a 500x. Because sometimes it was 0 to 5. Is it not 5? No. It's like 500 times more. Think about that. It was like 0 point something before, like the base rate, which is crazy. So base rate went from like 0 point something
to 5
to like 5% at its highest. This is crazy. So what does that mean for mortgage rates for landlords? It means a lot of landlords, the mortgage rates doubled, and in some cases tripled. So if we use the numbers, your landlord paying £1,000 mortgage, you're charging £1,500 rent, you're making £500.
Yes.
Now your mortgage rate has doubled. So now you're 2,000, you can't just double your rent. It doesn't work that way. So now you have a deficit. So what does that mean? Where are you going to find that money from? People need to remember that landlords are just people like you and me.
Exactly.
Normal people. Not all landlords are millionaires and have it. No. Most landlords are actually just people with 1 or 2 properties. They have a normal 9-to-5 job. So now, if I said to you to go and find an extra £500 extra every month, it's not going to be easy for most people. This is what landlords are having to do. So that £500 is coming out of their own pocket. It's a massive problem for them. So what now happens is, Rightmove, which is the largest online portal in the UK, property portal in the UK, they did a survey of the landlords. 50% of the landlords said they're looking to sell. 50%. Oh. Guys, that is half of all landlords in this country.
That is a huge number.
1.4 million. We have 2.8 million landlords, estimate, right, on the reserve side. So if we go with that number, that's 1.4 million people, not properties, people. So how many properties are we actually talking?
Some of them on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Exactly, right? Now, those people, do they really want to sell? No. But they've been forced into a position where now the property is no longer profitable. It's meant to be an asset. It's not a liability because it's costing them money. But what happens if we can solve that problem? If I said, well, I can make you double the amount. I can actually bring more money into your pocket now where you can earn. Yeah. All of a sudden, we have access to 1.4 million people who are in pain and who we can solve that pain. Right? Does that sound saturated?
No.
But it's saturated if you're someone who's doing rent to rent and all you want to do is just pay them the same rent that they can get from a tenant anyway. Because guess what? That doesn't solve their problem.
That's not.
And now they're in a difficult position. They don't even want to hear you. So now, I'm suffering. You want to go and make all this money on my... Are you well? Is something okay with you? Right? So this is the big difference. Yeah. So it all depends on when you say, is there an opportunity to make money? I think there has never been a better time than right now with the right strategy to make money with this Airbnb business. It is just at its infancy. We have 1.4 million people.
It has not peaked.
Nowhere near. Right. People realize Airbnb is only just starting. Give you another statistic. Airbnb as a company, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, they only made their first profits after 10 years in 2020 during COVID.
Wow.
So only 4 years has Airbnb been profitable.
So, okay. So I think that it's the fear. I think for me, I would say it's the fear of the unknown. You know, people don't know that they can come from one job, which is one extreme, you know, maybe be a teacher, to going into Airbnb. How do you do that? The confidence and the not knowing. And so that's why, you know, I brought you here today to, you know, share with my viewers or anybody out there who, quite honestly, who's counting change. There's a lot of people that are counting change. Yeah. You know.
By the way, can I just give them some stat? Because I understand it. Yeah. And something I just had the realization then that, like, bro, you sound so confident, so sure of yourself that might actually put some people off thinking, but look at this guy, did all of this sort of stuff. Like, I wish I could show you guys some of my students, right? Yeah. People who have gotten results. Like, honestly, it's not because I am this guy. Like, that's the reason why I'm getting results. It's not. It's because of the value proposition that we're presenting to landlords. Yeah. If someone is in pain, and you have the solution for that pain. It doesn't matter who you are, how shy you are, or any of that sort of stuff. As long as you're able to articulate to them, hey, this is the problem I believe you're facing. Is this correct? Yeah, well, do you know this solution can solve that problem? Like, people are going to be willing to listen to you. But let me give you some numbers so you can understand how easy this could be for you to actually achieve the results. You know, the average income that a lot of people are making take home is about £2,500. Right? Now, think about this. From this business, you make between £500 to £1,000 per property per month.
Right. And you can have how many properties?
Infinity. Yeah. Like, what's stopping you?
Because you've got a lot of landlords with properties saying...
Okay, so let's look at this. Let me give you another number before I finish this one. Let me just finish this one really quickly. £500 to £1,000 per property per month. 5 properties at the lower end of £500 per month. That's £2,500.
Per month.
Per month. Coming in, month out.
Yeah.
Right, what would an extra £2,500 do for you? If you can invest 10 hours a week, right now you're doing 40 hours to make the 2.5. If you can do 10 hours a week, and I said to you, in the next 3 to 6 months, you can be in a position where you're doing another 2.5K. Yeah. Like, really think about that, right? But what if it's £1,000 per property that you're making? That's now 5K, right? So that's what's truly, truly possible out here. And in terms of how many properties can you have, well, let's compare it. Because right now we're competing with estate agents. Right. Yes. Right?
That's the thing I was going to ask. What about estate agents? Where do they come in here? If Airbnb is taking all the properties, yes. Is there like a wrangle in between? How, you know, what's going on there? How
the clever people like me and my students. Yeah. Let's collaborate with them. Let's not make them feel like our competitors. They are competitors, and guess what? We have a far superior product to them. Right? But we are where we are. They have all the landlords, so we need to bring them in. Right? Yeah, we need to bring them in. If they want war, we'll go to war in the end, right? Yeah. But when we're starting, we need to bring them in and say, hey guys, look, we don't want to compete with you, because the truth is you've got all of the landlords. I don't want you thinking we're coming to take your landlords. They're going to remain your clients, and we're going to continue, you know, paying you what you're normally getting. Because guess what? We can afford to do that. And the reason why it's also worth doing it is because of the volume that these guys can bring. You know, estate agents have hundreds of properties in the portfolio, literally, right? So we can afford to keep paying them what they would have been getting if they were just renting it out to the landlord. But that in itself is a big clue. It's a big clue for you guys to understand the true potential of what I'm talking about here. Because how can we afford to pay them? That means we're making more money than them, right? If we're making more money than them, how much is the landlord's making, right? So let's look at the numbers. So let's say that £1,000 property.
Yeah.
Let's say a good estate agent, let's just say about 10% what they'll be getting, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to make £100 per month from that property. So how much is the landlord getting? 900, right? Obviously, they got to pay their mortgage or that sort of stuff, but let's just forget about that. Let's just say 900, right?
Yeah.
We generate £3,000 from that same property.
Right.
We get
same property.
We take 20%. So what's that? £600.
Right.
That we're taking. How much is going to the landlord now? £2,400.
And the landlord's happy.
Now, bear in mind, they've still got to pay the OTA fee. So, like, this is the online travel agencies, Airbnb, Booking.com. So, let's say that's another 15%. So, what does that work out to be? 15% of the 3K. That works out to be 450, right? So, that's now what? £1,000. £1,000, right? Including my 600. But guess what? They're walking away with 1,400.
Instead of 900.
Instead of 900.
Yeah.
So now you're thinking, okay, cool, that's only £500. But here's the thing. It's not just £500. So let's say their mortgage is £500.
Yeah.
Let's just say the mortgage is £500. So that means they've got £400 now left over. Guess what we've just done? We have just doubled their profits. You understand?
Yeah.
We've just doubled their profits. So when that landlord is looking at using us as an Airbnb, bear in mind, for the landlord, it makes no difference. They're not doing any more work to them. They're just still doing the same work, but just more money is coming to the bank account.
That's it.
So if they have to pick between us and the estate agent,
it's you.
All day, every day. And guess what? They have access to the property. They don't have to worry about guests. You know, if they want to block out the property because the family members are coming to stay over, they can just block out the calendar. So they can still have access to use the property. And they're no longer tied into the government legislations that's really, really, tightening up on landlords right now. So less legislations, that's making life more difficult for them, and more money. It's no competition. This is the estate agency of the future. Right.
So people better get in right now.
It's at its infancy.
People better get in right now.
It's on ground floor.
Wow, this is incredible. I want to address any single mothers that are struggling out there. I think that this is something that they would do. But what if they're not confident with, going out to look for landlords? Is there a way where somebody can invest, but they're not doing all the legwork? I'm not saying that they're being lazy. They're not doing this.
You are saying
but they're
that.
not doing.
You are saying that.
Is that yeah?
But yeah, it just means more money.
Like a silent investor.
Money makes money.
Do you know what I mean? Like
money,
a silent.
Money makes money. Money makes money. So that's fine.
So you don't have that. You don't have that.
We do have that, but that's something different, though, right?
Okay.
Because now that's not appealing to someone who's just trying to make it out.
Yeah.
That's appealing to someone who's already got money and they want to leverage their money. Yeah. That's a different conversation. We can have that conversation, and that is a service that we offer. But that's fine. But that's not to the everyday man and woman who's just trying to,
For everyday man and woman, you have to get out there and do the work.
How else?
Find it. Yeah.
How else?
Yeah.
How else? Right? Like this is it. But the context I always like people to understand is you're working 40, 50 plus hours a week right now for crumbs. And I want people to understand that it's crumbs. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just want people to truly understand what is possible. I've got young kids, 23, 22, 24, who are doing £100,000 a year.
What?
Like, I always say to people, don't listen to my words.
So,
you see the names on my thing.
Those are the case studies that
go
we
and
need.
reach out. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
Go on my website. Go and reach out to them. Don't tell me who you're. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Reach out to them individually. Check them out. Look at their business. Just go and then speak to them. Say, what do they think about me? What do they think about the academy? I love people doing that because when they come back, their mind is blown, right?
Yes.
But this is happening to young kids. So don't let anyone, because when I was working at the firm, right, they make you feel like this is the best you're going to do. This is the most you can actually achieve. I bought into that at the time. I'm not going to lie, right? If I wasn't forced because of my mom's situation, I could probably still be there.
Yeah.
Because when you're making money, you're comfortable and that sort of stuff, right? But I said to people, you're working 40, 50 hours a week to make 2.5K.
Yeah. When you can make 10K on your own.
But let's just even park that for now. Even if you weren't making 10K, even if you're making 2.5K, but you're only spending 10 hours a week.
That's right.
Does that not make sense? So when people are saying, "Oh, I've got to do the groundwork," I'm like, so what?
So the groundwork in the beginning will be tough. Just like
waking up every single day at 7 o'clock to get your kids ready to then drop them off and then to then get on the bus and go to work and go and do something you don't enjoy doing, and then you come back and you do it again. And then the money you get, you're thinking, is this it? That's tough. That's the tougher thing for me.
The crumbs at the end of the month.
The crumbs, like, don't let anyone deceive you like that. What you're doing is already tough. What we're talking about here, this opportunity, like, offers you the opportunity for freedom. But yes, you got to do the work. And I know that's not the most appealing. If I wanted to get everyone's business now, I'll just tell you how easy it is. But I want people
Ibrahim,
coming into this.
I know that we're running out of time, but I know. But is there a deal that you can give my viewers if they're interested in joining, like just a special deal for Professor Pauline Long Show? You know, a deal for Professor Pauline Long Show. Oh God. Okay, we do have a call when we are just about to finish. Hi. How you doing? Okay, I think we're getting feedback. Hello.
Hello, hi. I'm calling from London. My name is Frances Masakwe.
Oh, hi, Frances.
Hello.
Hi. Join us. What is your question?
I have a question for your guest.
Okay, we have just like 40 seconds left. Very quickly, and then he can respond probably via email or, through us. What's the question? Okay, I don't think that we're going to be able to take that.
Are there any government scheme or grants that can help beginners in property? Is still the best way to build long-term wealth?
Okay, we've got that question, but we are running out of time. So thank you very much for calling at last minute, guys. Ibrahim will answer that through me, okay? Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for coming. We have to run. God bless you guys.
You are watching Faith World TV. Faith World TV, changing the world with the Word of God.